being modified, but not from Earth. It's being modified from ships that's stationed just outside the atmosphere. Some of them is being made visible, and people seeing them is looking like big discs under the clouds, circling around, and like, what the hell is that? The ship, they've been here. Right now, they had a fleet of them went to Antarctica almost a month ago. There was something like 70-something ships. Just rolled in and went on in there, and they told the people on Earth there was a meteor shower. And I'm sitting here like, why would y'all tell them people that? Bald-faced lie. Them ships. Meteors don't navigate. They don't make turns and shit. That's a ship. An asteroid don't change trajectory on a dime. It doesn't happen. Them ships. They telling us now this big ass ship coming in now. One of the galactic federations is cloaked. They telling us it's a black hole flying through space with a trail of moons behind it.
I think I heard about that.
Come on, man. It's just a cloaked ship. Crazy. If it was a black hole, one, it wouldn't be moving like that, and two, it wouldn't have a debris trail behind it because the black hole would have absorbed all the debris.
Rod, I asked somebody. I don't know about the letter X. I'm not sure. I don't think it was you. It might have been somebody else. What's interesting, I just asked you about the chemtrails, and I said that the ETs told this lady that the information is in the atmosphere. One of the main things they do with the chemtrails, they put an X there. Now, when somebody's writing on paper, if you put a graffiti on the wall for somebody to disrespect you or to say, don't look at this information, they're going to put an X on it. When you get a wrong test in school, the teacher puts an X on it. So when you want to block out information, you always put an X on it. Why don't you put a Y when you want to block out? Why you don't put a U? For some reason, we always put an X.
So in math, the primary letters we use in math is A, B, X, and Y. Yeah. Right. So the X is a 10. X is to mark a spot. Right. Like if you look at a prison from the sky, most of these new prisons look like an X from the sky. That's so they can bomb it from the sky. They know all they got to do is look for the X, right? Yeah. So they know the building they see, they know where to drop the bomb. Get rid of them niggas. We don't need them, right? X is it really means the crossing of two things, right? So when we talk about the X, we talking crossroads, Baron Samadi, right? The keeper of the crossroads.
Even right, the Confederate flag, the Confederate flag, right?
The Confederate flag. That's an old native flag. We started using flags when we got invaded. We didn't use flags; we used totem poles. The invaders came with some shit called the law of the flag. We didn't know nothing about no law of the flag because we don't fly flags. We raise totem poles, and when you see the totem pole, you know which clans operating in this region. When we claimed DC back, we had to stake a totem pole. So they staked the totem pole in DC to claim back the crash site. Then after you stake the totem pole, all you got to do now is capture the flag. You got the superior jurisdiction at that point. When did we capture the flag? We sent the Viking in to do it. The same ones that rescued Scotland and Scotia from the hordes of the Catholic Church. That's why when you seen another Viking, I think it was Australia, did the same thing. You have to capture the flag to win the war. That's how you know that we never won World War II. Nobody never captured the flag of Germany. Who got the German flag? Nobody captured the flag. Right? We use totem poles, so the Moors use the flag. Now watch this. The flag that the Moorish Empire is using today, it's not a Moorish flag. That's a Noble Drew Ali coded message that they tried to steal it and use it to their advantage, expose their ass in real time. That flag wasn't the flag of Morocco till like years after Noble Drew Ali got murdered.
Yeah.
Look it up. It ain't hard to find. It's not even a secret. And they telling us it's an ancient flag. No, it's an ancient message. The flag is modern. The message that the flag is relaying, the red background with the green 5-pointed interlocking star, telling us something very specific about somebody very specific. That's the star of Venus.
Mm.
And the imagery from the Moorish Science Temple, uplifting fallen humanity, who is Noble Drew Ali holding? It just say fallen humanity on her dress. So who's he holding? She's the symbol of the matriarchy, the divine feminine, Venus. Right? So Venus, if you look up the crucifixion of Venus, you're going to see a woman crucified, and actually a sister. And it's not hard to look it up. You can Google that shit and go under images and you'll see the crucified Venus. Well, wait a minute. What do you mean the crucified Venus? I thought it was Jesus. This all of the matriarchs, the divine feminines of antiquity, have been vilified, lied on, defamed, disgraced by a rogue patriarchal system intended on reclaiming the earth. But this just so happened that Big Mama got a boy for every one of them motherfuckers that thought they was going to take over to stop them. Beat them at their own game. That's what she said. Everything, every lie they telling, just drag that shit out and expose it. No, the people want freedom, but they don't want to take them steps because the enemy had us that terrified to be free. We rather go along and get along than to buck the system to establish our own. We at the part now where we gonna have to establish our own system, or we gonna have to rely on somebody to do it for us. Them the only two spots we at right now. We either gonna get our act together, remember who the we is, organize in our town, take one city back at a time, raising the indigenous rights in the face of the public. There's nobody to stop us but us. And them niggas that look like us. But they gonna be exposed soon as you try to do it because they gonna be the naysayers. They gonna be the ones trying to get you to go get a nationality, and a nationality make you part of a nation, and the nation is a corporation. And all corporations is governed under Uniform Commercial Code. And the only way you can do business with a nation is a legal fiction, because all nations are legal fictions. That make you a straw man. That means you ain't got no brain. That classifies you as an imbecile in law. This is their doctrine. And this is why they kept beating us. Right? But the elders that seen it left enough clues for any one of us to put it together, but we have to be a diligent student with a lot of self-discipline. And that's where we dropped the ball. Don't nobody want to use self-discipline, and don't nobody want to put in the labor required for liberation. Because it's not easy. But you can win the war without firing a bullet if you realize who you is. That's the hard part, because they told you you was something different than what you was. They told you came on a sardine ship from Africa that's actually the blueprint. The ship that they give us is the blueprint for Notre Dame University, academia, where the false history plot was hatched as a military strategy. This is how you're going to mislead the people. You're going to tell them they came on ships. Then they're going to think, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, you said something that made me think about symbols, and it made me think.
I like the Lord. I like Dolores Cannon because she be telling you stuff you need to know.
Who's the archaic ones? She talked about the archaic ones, Rod. Who's the archaic ones?
Those are the firstborn of the earthborn. That's the original, what they call them, Goetia spirits.
Goetia. Okay.
Archaic meaning the ancient ones, right? So you remember in Genesis, they called Melchizedek the Ancient of Days. Mm-hmm. And then you remember in Doctor Strange, they called the lady the Ancient One. But these are the spirits of the earth. Well, they came in Titan form, but they take on human form to walk among the mortals. Those are the archaic ones, the ancient ones.
Mm-hmm. How does this fit into the whole timeline? Because you're saying those were the firstborn. When you talk about Inky and Lil, and you talk about Sumerian and all that, where do our archaic ones fit into that whole picture? They were
They
there way
come
before.
yeah, they
They were
come way
before.
before. They were neuter gender. They was non-gender beings.
Mm.
And
Any names? Any?
um the names have been changed over time. Like one of the ancient ones is Tahuti, but Tahuti is also the adopted son of Enki, right? The story is the story of Loki. All of these stories, when they talking about the Norse mythology, Odinism, all of these ancient myths. The myths is the old stories that was handed down by word of mouth. And it wasn't until modern times that we started to transcribe them in the last 6,000 years or so onto paper to be passed down in the form of a book or pamphlet.
Right.
But the names don't hold up to modern speech. Modern speech that makes it difficult to pronounce the true name of the ancients.
Interesting. Wow, very interesting. So, in terms of, like, let's say symbols, one of the things she said they told her was that they put blocks of information in one symbol. And the way that we talk is a very slow way of communicating. They use symbols. So, like, even the crop circles, there's literally like tons of information in one symbol. And our subconscious downloads this. We don't know it, but our subconscious downloads it and use it for the future.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay, so
should
symbolism.
should we be looking more at symbols than we do
Well,
at anything?
symbolism was the first language. When we went from telepathy to communicating by writing, we wrote symbols. This is where you get hieroglyphics from.
Yeah.
Right. You get hieroglyphics and petroglyphs from the symbols of ancients leaving a message for posterity.
Mm.
Right. So you got writings on all pyramids, inside or either outside or both. You got pillars with writing on them. It don't look like writing now. A lot of it look like decoration, but it's writing.
Mm.
It's symbolism, right? So when you looking at spirals, they all this is telling you stuff. Spirals, circles, what we call platonic solids.
Right.
The symbols, the triangle, the circle, the square, all of those symbols be used to build other symbols. It's like an app on your phone, but you're using it in the brain.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we start calling the symbols by the names, and that's what give us words. And then the hieroglyph morph into letters to spell the word that was once a symbol. Like let's take the SA, for example, SA, right? Shout out to SETI. But the SA is the symbol for the doulas. And it's like a circle with 3 spirals on it, and it comes off at the bottom like legs open.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because their job is to deal with the women giving birth. The spiral represents the coming down from one dimension into another. You got to come in a loop, right? So when you read Nero tablets, Tahuti say that everything is cycles within cycles. So this is represented in the center of the side. The top is the uterus, and the bottom is the legs of the newborn baby. It's telling you that she's bringing the baby from one dimension into another. She's greeting them at the gate. The symbol, that one little symbol. And it's more to it than that, because once you understand the role of the Psi priestess in the community, when you see the symbol, it changes everything. That symbol ended up becoming what's known as the caduceus, the modern medical symbol, wrapped around the staff. The staff is the symbol for the male virility or the penis, the phallic symbol. And the serpent wrapping around it is man retrieving his offspring from another dimension through the uterus. In other words, procreation and reproduction.
So who are these tall blondes that you always hear about them when you study the extraterrestrials? Yeah. They always talk about the tall blondes. Because who are the tall blondes? Because we're taught down here that blonde is a recessive trait. So who are these tall blondes? And I don't know how true that is. You could elaborate on that.
Well, genetically, blonde hair, blue eyes is recessive genetically, right? But it doesn't mean neuromelanin recessive. It just means physical melanin recessive. Neuromelanin is a whole nother animal. But anyway, so the tall blinds come from different star systems. You have the ones that come from the Procyon system, and the Procyon also have melanated Willie beams, right? Then you got the ones that come with Ashtar Command, come from a different star system. These are all part of the Galactic Council. Then you have the ones we call the Nordics, right? And they come from another different star system. They all tall whites, approximately between 6'5" and 7 feet. And but also the melanated ones, a lot of them are tall too. A lot of them are tall and lanky because a lot of the space travel atrophy the muscles, right? So they got to have certain things in place to even be able to stand up when they reach their destination, when they fly in the old school way, they before the portals, right?
Oh, so the portal, old school. That's old school.
Yeah, old school. Like get in this. We doing this old school. Get in the space shuttle, just shoot it out of the atmosphere. When it get out into outer space, then turn on the propulsion to get to the destination. That's all old. That's archaic. That shit's so fucking old. We did that when humanity was babies in science.
Wow.
We don't even know the level we currently at because we've been so miseducated that when we bring up the old scientific discoveries as new, we amazed at this shit. The healing chamber, we call them med beds and healing chambers. They was doing that shit in ancient Tibet. They got whole texts on it, right? They was using crystals and music to heal sick people. It's the same thing. All they did was use modern day scientific equipment to register which frequencies and pitch and tones is being used and duplicated it with a computer. And now they can create a healing chamber that can accelerate your healing by tuning into the frequency of your DNA. Actually can grow a whole limb. But that sounded like 100,000 years in the future from now to be able to lose your leg today, go in this healing chamber, put in a medically induced coma for 90 days and come back out on that limb there. Right. All that's like, it's so futuristic to the modern mind. They don't even know that shit ancient. This is what they're digging up in Antarctica. Those cities down there got all of that technology. They don't have to get nothing from no outer space if they don't want to. All of it is here on Earth. We've been doing this shit so long, we forget ain't nothing new under the sun.
Right.
We got the Vimana Sutras is a whole book on aviation, flying around in ancient times.
How long ago was that? The
Vimana Sutras?
Yeah.
That was some thousands of years ago when it was written.
Yeah.
Right. Then you got the Chronicles of the Vimanas Wars. It's a whole nother set of books telling you about when they came, when we fought, who we fought. All that stuff is there. But we so walled off from ancient knowledge, right? So like you get Michael Cremo's Forbidden Archaeology. He going into using Vedic sources, he's able to extract history that modern science is just now figuring out. Straight out of the Vedic text. Then you go and find archaeology. How is the hell you got a 5 million year old boot print in rock? If all this shit new, right? Remember, time is part of the construct. Time. When we go back to what's called the first time or the forever time, Zep Tepi, we wasn't restricted by time. Time had to be created later, right? And time was created late in order to shorten our lifespan. When you don't have time, your lifespan is infinite. You need somebody have to create time in order to shorten your lifespan and make you switch avatars.
You know, a lot of people who live long, Rod, say that the key to living long is they stop counting their birthdays. You heard that before.
Matter of fact, a well-known artist named Prince once said that.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it was a couple more people said it too, but he was one of the most famous people to say it. Counting your birthdays You counting your years off. You counting your prison days down on the wall in your cell,
Mm.
looking for a parole.